Well, after a week away at Le Mans, we are back in the studios for the Apex Racing Academy FPV VRS Super Series, and after 2 weeks away in Japan, we return to Europe and Holland to be a little bit more exciting, which is the centre of a Dutch racing team. Imagine back in 1940 to put the resort town onto the world stage. I'm Tim Cox, and joining me as always this week, a man who, well, had rather a lot of success in the past in Radicals, but expands his knowledge across into F3. It's Sam Fitzpatrick. Sam, welcome along, and we're reaching the halfway stage of the season after today. Where's the time gone? It's been crazy.
Yeah, exactly, and thanks for mentioning the Radicals. Always appreciate it, Tim. Yeah, we are rapidly moving through the season. It's been so good so far, hasn't it? I mean, particularly Monza and Fuji. I think we were expecting a bit of chaos from those rounds, a bit of entertainment. But Okayama last time was really good as well. I just really like how close the field is, and we've got some good team rivalries as well, which is always good to see, and that will just progress as the season goes on.
And yet again, AMS making the final, well, singular for last time at Okayama. Not quite as good as the previous week where we had 5 at Fuji, but Edward Pop making it to the grand final. A great result for him and the AMS as a whole, who've really sort of taken it to the Pro-Am category this season. And equally, the Pro-Ams have seemed to have pretty much taken it to the pros as well. Yeah,
often there's a little bit of a mismatch, isn't there? Where I think sort of the top drivers in each category are there, aren't they? You know, we always see the pros in the top 3. We always see the top 3 Pro-Ams ahead of the top of the rest of the AMS. But behind that, it's just like a fruit salad, pretty much, it looks like. And that is how the season has gone so far. And I imagine we might well see more today, at least in the F1 Esports. Zandvoort the other day, it was, I think, a tenth of a second covering the entire field. I wonder if we'll see a similar margin, or maybe just a little bit bigger tonight.
I get the feeling it's probably going to be served a very similar dish tonight. And just talking of Zandvoort, it's, well, crazy. A bit, and, you know, like the circuit is currently still got the flat final corner, but just like the revamped version, getting a run out of there is so important on that run down to turn 1, which is going to be probably the biggest opportunity for overtaking, would you say, around here, Sam?
Yeah, I think so. It's the most obvious, isn't it? It's the high speed part of the track, Tarzan corner, and it's a lot of fun to drive. So I love like a nice corner with a lot of banking. The curbs are very tricky as well. The one on the inside, you cannot clip that. If you clip that, that's his game over. And then the rest of the circuit is just fantastically flowing, particularly over the crest going through turns 4, 5 and 6 is so much fun. But the middle sector as well could be some overtaking. I mean, the track really widens up in that middle sector. You've got a couple of hairpins. You can sort of mug the opposing driver, just bomb it down the inside, and there's not a whole lot they can do. So we might see some moves in the middle sector, but I think you're right, Tim. Turn 1, that's going to be where we see most of it.
You mentioned, yeah, the run down. We'll start to see it very shortly as the track map moves around behind us. Our fast flowing section that Sam mentioned through 5, 6, into 7. A little bit treacherous through there. If you get yourself slightly offline, I know the drivers helps definitely, obviously, by the large amount of downforce that these ARA free cars provide, but get it wrong, get out to the grass, it can go horrifically wrong for you and give you an opportunity, as you're seeing just now, into 8 potentially, but a little bit dicey.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, into 9 and then 10 through here. It's just nice to go to these old school circuits where the track confines are made by the grass. I think there's 1 or 2 1Xs which I think you can pick up, which are a bit harsh, but on the most part, if you push too hard, then you're going to be in the gravel, and the walls are pretty close around this circuit as well, so there's some proper physical deterrence around this Zandvoort circuit. And that's turn 11 and 12. Of course, now huge grandstands in real life. We don't quite have the same scale in the sim racing world. However, that is still a small overtaking opportunity. Actually, in iRacing, that's the straight towards the DRS, which sort of demonstrates just how short the circuit is, or how short the straights are around the circuit. You got that sort of probably 300-meter straight, and that's pretty much the second longest of the circuit. It
is a very short run, but definitely running into 11, Joachim Wright does provide an overtaking opportunity. We've seen it countless times here at Apex Racing TV. Going to be interesting to see, especially when we get to that final, Sam, whether there's a few drivers maybe take a bit of a gamble. It can be into there, can get a bit tight. If you're in the tin tops, not so much of an issue, because obviously, you've got plenty of bodywork to, before the wheels get caught up with one another. These cars are very different, touch each other, it goes horrifically wrong. If you're brand new to the series, let's take a little run through the format for this evening. Of course, qualifying, that's just about to get underway shortly before we head into 2 heat races, both 10 minutes long. And top 8 tonight, Sam?
Top 7.
Top 7.
Get through.
You're making it more challenging for the drivers, aren't you?
A little bit more tricky. So top 7 get through from each heat, go straight into the A final, and then the rest of them will have to battle it out in the B final, and it's still the top 4 from the B final get through to the A final. So I think tonight we should have 18 in the A final and about 14 or 15 in the B final, so should be hotly contested should those positions. So that will be sort of what the drivers are fighting over, and of course we saw it last time out with Edouard Pop, that brilliant result to get into the A final.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
It didn't go great for him in the A final. He was a bit unlucky that there wasn't more chaos ahead, but you can be fairly slow, no disrespect to Edouard, and be in that 18th place. But if there's 5 cars who crash in front of you, you are in for some big points. So that is how important it is. Just get yourself in play, and anything can happen in the A final.
And talking of the A final, Lennart Schabel finished second on track, but due to penalties ended up being given the victory post-race.
Yeah, Jesper Sandström made a collision with, I believe it was it was Conor Wagner, I believe, who made the contact. And in the end, the stewards decided that that was a penalty, and so sent him down the order, I believe, down to 10th position. Last time out was Jesper Sandström. But it was good to see Alcantech take the challenge to Sim Racing Sweden, because they have been dominant so far this season. Sim Racing Sweden at Monza and Fuji, really imperious, particularly Olsen, I think, has been probably the driver of the season so far. But he was your one to look out for, wasn't he, this season? Well, 2-time defending champion. But Alcantech are there now. And I just hope that they can continue that momentum that they had from Okayama heading into this round and continue to close that championship lead at the top of the season. We're not long away from finding out. And talking about championship standings, let's take a look at what's happening in Pro right now. You can see Arvid Darson still leading the way there on 364 points, but it is getting incredibly close between himself and Tobias Olsen. Schnabel tied for second with Conor Wagner. Conor Wagner, for me, been a little bit unlucky so far this season, Sam. Could be higher up potentially. Yeah, I mean, last time out he could have won. So I don't think that's a bold call or anything. So I think those top 5, are they a little bit clear of the rest? I mean, Rasmussen and Zwemstra, it's weird to kind of call them guys out. Martinson as well. I mean, he was basically strong at Monza, remember. But they do seem to sort of be the main guys. In the Pro-Ams, this championship has been so insane. No disrespect to Richard Boberg. He won last season, I believe, did Boberg in the AMS. When I saw he was at the top of the championship, I was shocked, because he has not had the best season, it seems. He was only 6th in the last round. There he is, 230 points. But, I mean, it's just crazy. Grant was brilliant in the last round. Didn't really do too much in the first 2 rounds. Winner at Okayama, didn't he, in the Pro-Am category. The one for me is Aaron Smith, because yes, he was caught out by penalties at Fuji, meaning he had to come from the back twice after starting from the pits for both his heat rounds. But he's been a really, really interesting driver to made plenty of coverage on the broadcast. But
just from having to start from the back and not quite making it through the field the whole time, why currently lies in third, and I think it sets a little bit of a missed opportunity in these opening 3 rounds for him.
Yeah, I think he's probably been the fastest driver, as Smith so far this season. Had a poor Monza, and then like you said, the penalties that he got from Monza affected him poorly at Fuji, albeit he did very well to score as many points as he did. In the amateur category, we've currently got Michael Griffin at the top of that. He was dominant really in the first 2 rounds, was Griffin. Well, to be fair, Charney scored the most points at Monza, but across the 2, he had a strong lead. But last time out, like we were saying, Edward Pop, really strong performance from him, got the most points of anyone, got into that A final, and he could be a danger. And Garrett Spence, his first appearance last time out. We do have a drop score in this round, to be fair, Tim, but he's got some working to do there. Spence, you can see, second highest scorer last time out. Hopefully he can start making those points up tonight.
He drives for big speed racing. He definitely needs some big speed. Sure, we have played more of those lovely puns throughout the show, definitely. Sam, prediction time. How many AMs are going to progress to the final this week? We've had, well, last week was a bit of a quiet week for them, only obviously Edward Pop progressing to the A final, the grand final. How many do you think this week? If any? It's a tough one to say. I
am going to go for 2 this week.
Ooh, as many as that? I think it's going to be all or nothing for the drivers this week, Sam, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's, if there's a big incident in front of them, barriers are incredibly close to the track edge in certain parts, especially that first sector as well, that we saw all the way up to turn 4. But, if there's a big incident up in front, I think they could gain places quite in abundance, but in equal measures, not so much if they, if there's not a big incident.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it might even be the drivers right at the back who turn out to be benefiting if you're in that mid-pack like some of the top AMs will be. Maybe they're going to be in the firing line tonight. But, well, I think qualifying has started, so shall we head off, Tim?
I think, yeah, it's time to go get trackside. We'll get to a quick break now. We will see you on the other side for qualifying.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back. We are trackside at Zandvoort, qualifying just underway right now. Drivers on their out laps, trip into the unknown. See how they get on. Who's going to come away with pole position from Ramport of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series from Zandvoort. And here some of the time starting to creep in. Martinson saying the initial pace right now 128.88, although only 8 tenths slower than him is Kevin Swenstra, Dutchman. Home race, Sam. Home advantage potentially, because as things stand at the moment, if he can hold that position, that'll be by far and away the best qualifying he's had all season.
Yeah, I'm always expecting a lot from Swenstra. Of course, he's part of All Kentucky. He's had some really good results in the past. But he's quite often lacking that couple of tenths of a second to be right at the top, to be in that sort of top 5 that I was talking about with, the Olsons and co. However, last time at Okayama, we had a lot of changes. It seemed like the cars just got faster and faster and faster. I wonder if we're going to see the same thing here, as we're seeing Justin Negretti sort of in the middle of quite a big pack. We've got, I think, how haven't got that many cars on circuit at the moment. I think we've got about 20 on circuit. We've got a strong turnout tonight, over 25 drivers around for this evening's racing. But they all seem to be on the same piece of circuit. It's an absolute snake of cars right now in the second half of the track.
That's going to help our drivers, Sam. It was silly at Monza. We saw the Fuji, the DRS. DRS train is known in Formula One, but the slipstream train that you see really helping some of the drivers. Zandvoort claiming provisional pole position there as well. Just did a great. Well, what a great lap from him. Tom's coming left, right, and centre. Zemstra goes second, but then it's displaced. Rasmussen up into your new provisional pole position, 128.27. And Sam, I was about to ask if being in that slipstream train was going to make a big difference to the drivers' lap times. I think my question's just been answered before I've even had a chance to ask it.
Exactly, it sort of demonstrates how big the slipstream is when these guys are out on circuit. Currently top 9 separated by 0.4 of a second, top 10 even separated by 0.4 of a second. And so if you can gain a tenth or two with the toe, then that could be a lot of rows gained on the track. And of course, whilst there are many straights, you've got this part of the circuit that Brewer is currently having to deal with. That's a flat out section for the best part of 20 seconds. And so if you can pick up a toe through there, that is going to be more advantage for you out on circuit, as Brewer just taking it a little bit easy at the moment. Grosseto, by the way, top of the Pro-Ams as it stands, so really good time from Grosseto. We always expect him to be at the front and has had a pretty solid season, albeit no one's really had an easy run of it in the Pro-Ams so far. And top of the Ams at the moment, Cambrali Charney, who's had a couple of tricky rounds, looks so strong back at Monza in the first round of the championship. Really thought that this might be his season. He hasn't really delivered it up since, but he is currently top of the 6 amateur drivers we have out here tonight.
What's he say about being top, Sam? Olsen, your new pole position. Well, it's evolving constantly at the sharp end. Half a tenth covers our top 3. Rasmussen, your new provisional pole sitter. I tell you what, Sam, it might be, a relatively sort of average day here in Holland. But I tell you what, it's really, really hotting up right now on track.
Yeah, it sure is. I still think there's going to be an improvement. I'm sort of waiting for Olsen just to go 0.3 of a second quicker. That's what he did last time at Okayama, where it was so close, and Olsen was around 4th or 5th, and everyone kept on shaving off half a tenth, maybe a tenth of a second. And then on his last lap, Olsen managed to put 1/4 of a second on the rest of the field. Is he going to be able to do the same once again? He's currently in the second half of one of his laps. Nicholas Wesman in 12th position. You can see how those AMs, top of the AMs is, Grosseto up there in 7th place, but a lot of them in a row. Schnabel only in 12th place. What is going on with Lennart Schnabel? I mean, his teammates are having an absolute ball of a time, but it's almost like an inverted Alcantech lineup right now.
Well, I was about to ask you exactly the same thing, Sam. Schnabel really suffering this week. Second last time out. But let's not forget, obviously, where we have the 2 splits, all the odd position qualifying spots go into one heat, they go into the first heat, the evens go into the second heat. So ultimately, I mean, he's going to be as things stand at the moment, Sam, he's starting on the 3rd row of the grid in 6th. But actually demoted one now as Philip Russell goes quicker than Schnabel. So I think all not lost. It's all about just getting through into that final and getting one of the automatic qualification spots, but definitely struggling a little bit here today is Schnabel. Having said that, he's just gone green in the first 3, make that 4 sectors. So clearly listening into us and responding as, oh dear, that was Charney just losing it on the grass a little bit there.
Yeah, I still think this is going to be top for Schnabel. I think it might be maybe 3rd row of the grid, but 3rd row of the grid is a 10th and a half off pole position, so actually it might only be good enough for top 10 for Schnabel. And his teammate Jesper Sandström, after that contact with Wagner in the last round, he is starting from the pits, so that's going to set him back all the way throughout this evening. It will make the race win extremely tricky because he'll have to make his way up. I think he will get into the top 7 in his heat fairly easy, but then he'll still be starting outside the top 10 for the A final. He's going to struggle to do anything from there. So Olsen, he's got a little bit of a draft right now. That is his teammate of Isaac Arvidsson just in front. Arvidsson pulls into the pits. Can Olsen do what he did last time? Can he go 0.2 of a second clear of the rest of the field?
find out. There
He
you
can.
go.
Well, it's not 2/10, it's half a tenth, but he will take that one. And with Rasmussen back in the pits, there are limited drivers who can rival him. Probably the only man who can rival him is his teammate, Martinson.
That was Aaron Smith of HPDS Academy just heading off track. That's going to look like qualifying done and dusted for him because I think he's about halfway around this circuit. So we see Martinson trying to desperately get some heat in that tyres, but I think that's more like qualifying done and dusted, a bit of a victory week for him. So victory starting from, well, what will be the second row of the grid because he will go into heat one. Sorry, first row of the grid because he will go into heat one, having qualified third. As mentioned earlier, the odd place drivers will go into heat one, even into heat two. So he stopped the front row alongside fellow countryman and teammate Tobias Olsen as Priestley just getting over the line there before the end of qualifying. Checkered flag is out and, well, is us done and dusted. I head across into our first heat of the evening. Let's see who's going to progress to the final. Olsen, he's on pole with his fellow countryman and teammate Martinson alongside him on the front row. Zandvoort has Grassetto for company on the second row in the grid and Aaron Smith on the third row of the grid. Russell and Glamser share the fourth row with top AM driver Charney. Starts from the fifth row with Presley, Granite top 10. Chuck Morrow has Garrett Spence with him on the sixth row with Dorian Rowe and Michael Griffin. Rounding out your 14-car grid for Heat 1 of the evening. And who is going to get through? As Sam mentioned earlier in the build-up, 7 cars will be progressing from this heat to the grand final. Who will make it? Well, we do not have long to find out at all. Drivers just taking to the grid. Then we'll get away for our first race. Wow, the anticipation builds. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers now. Leading as late as they can to keep as much heat out of those tyres and have the best possible grip and getting off the line. So we'll be all tucked up into that tyre blankets and keeping nice and toasty as we're waiting on a couple of drivers now. Ryan, you see him missing off the back there. And Smith, a big gap in the midfield there. And our top two are really leaving it late right now. There's not long left at all for them to get in.
Yeah, and Dorian Arroyo, by the way, also with a pit lane start for this round of the championship.
That'll be why then, Sam.
He is leaving it to the last. But Olsen and Martinson, we sometimes see these games from the top drivers, leaving it to the last. They are there. We have 10 seconds left until we get racing here at Zandvoort.
Here we go, Sam. Here we go. Seconds away from the lights. Let's get ready, because here they are. Let's get ready to go racing for the first time from Zandvoort this evening in round 4 of the championship. And we are green and we are away on the run down to turn 1. And the 2 Sim Race Sweden guys get a blinding start, blocking the track as we head into Tarzan for the first time. But I tell you what, Martinson coming under a bit of pressure, has to run it in a bit deep to cover off Grassetto, who's had a great start. Stremstra battling alongside him as they all stream through right now. But Chuck Morrow, great start from him in the midfield. He's already up 2 places. It's Glamsetter trying to get into a bit of a groove. Already he's picked up 1. He's into 7th right now. 7-1 heads out through Hungerhots up to one of my favourite corner names in the world, Rob Schlottermacher. And down into the twisty parts where Sam was speaking about. It starts to widen up the track here. You need to really be on your A game if you want to try and get an overtake around here through 9 into 10. And then this run down, well, what you could call the back straight here, Sam, but I tell you what, it's not very long at all.
Absolutely not. And I think the man who will be most disappointed with that race start will be Kevin Zwemstra. He would have felt like he could challenge Olsen and Martinson, but having Grassetto, a Pro-Am driver, in between him and those top 2, that is going to take him a couple of laps to get past, and by which time the top 2 may be too far ahead. So not the start that Zwemstra wanted whatsoever. Currently, Glamsetter on that cusp, battling with Russell for that final advancing spot. Only half the field going through as Glamsetter now gets ahead of Smith. So Smith must have made a mistake there. Oh dear, we got contact between Griffin and Spence. Now Griffin started from the back. He was making his way through the order and he has collided with Garrett Spence right there. He had a very good previous round to the championship, but Griffin, championship leader in the end, I think he is not going to get through to the A final. through this heat at least.
Well, it's going to take a big old miracle for him to be able to get through and try and challenge for that one. As we see the midfield, it's starting to really fallen off the breakaway group, which is taken Olsen, Martin, Grosseto, the Pro-Am driver, coming along for the ride with them as well. Zemstra and Negretis. Oh, that is Smith through. He's up the inside, and that is ahead of Glamsessa into second in Pro-Am. And these two, well, surely, Sam, they don't want to be battling, but Smith clearly wants to get ahead, can see that gap building up, and wants to try and pull away from Glamsessa. It clearly feels like he's quicker then, so that he doesn't get in that. But he's in a really compromised, vulnerable position. Was in seventh from that last of the automatic promotion places.
As we'll get a replay of the Spence crash that we had just a moment ago. Well on Smith though, like he must have made a mistake through the penultimate corner where pretty much Spence did. Oh, Griffin. Oh, well, Griffin was sort of slowing down, wasn't he? Maybe if he stayed full throttle, maybe he would have got away with it. But there he was round, and oh, that's annoying. It's not even your fault. And it's now a track. Look at the draft braking at the front. Olsen and Martin's equivalent, guys, your teammates. And yet they are using MotoGP lines right now, just making an extra corner down the straight. Look at Grosseto. He's keeping with these guys.
He's really there on merit, is the Italian of Scania Motorsport. He got off a good start, got past Zemstra into turn one, Tarzan, and he's remained there ever since, and he's keeping all these guys honest. He's on for, well, a podium overall in the heat race. Not that really sort of stands too much for it, but so it's really helping his chances to ensure that he gets through into the final of these guys. It's all about automatic qualification. As I tell you what, top two of Olsen Martin starting to pull away. Just a bit of a gap open up. Grosseto just getting a little bit of loose as he came through from Schlossenbacher and through into turns 7 and 8. And now under a lot of pressure from the Dutchman Zemstra, just in the grid, not far behind the American of Sims Racing Esports. And that down the back straight, and you can see Grosseto starting to pull out the defensive lines to try and cover off Zemstra. I mean, Sam, does he really need to? I think the answer could well be, I mean, the group behind Smith, Glamsetta, Russell, I mean, they're not gaining, but they're not falling back either. They're remaining constant. I mean, for Grosseto, surely, just don't worry about battling. Just ensure you get yourself through.
That might be the wise thing to do. I mean, there's maybe one extra point. Oh, as we have the inside line there for Russell. Glamsetta has to lock the brakes. Now, this is absolutely for the final, but Glamsetta just about stays ahead. Good defensive manoeuvring there to leave Russell a bit of space on the entry. I'm just thinking how Zemstra must be in his mind. He'll be thinking how long ago Fuji and Monza feels like, because all he needs is one of those long straights, and I think he'll be past. Instead, he's mired in the dunes of Zandvoort and completely unable to make a manoeuvre. But, well, maybe Russell will show us how to do it here, because he is very close. This is a very rare overtaking spot. Really not a good opportunity at Master Spot, but maybe Bosch 9 might be an opportunity, as there goes Grosseto having to defend again. So he's just got some offline. This is where he's got the advantage, and we could well see a move heading down into Hans Ernst Bock.
He's looking for the switchback. Is Zemstra lining up, shuffling, manoeuvring Grosseto into position, but Zemstra needs to be careful because the Gret is looming large. There's a bit of a lock up there from Grosseto. This is surely going to be Zemstra's chance. Get it all lined up now through Kumo, through the final turn, on the run down to turn 1, the race to Tarzan. It could be won by Zemstra. He's in the slipstream. Grosseto knows it. He moves across the track, hugs against the pit wall. Oh, and he's moving across. He's squeezing Zemstra right around the outside. And Zemstra, can he hold on? No, he can't. He has to tuck back in. But what sort of run? How much more speed has he carried out of Tarzan? Let's find out. Well, the answer to that is not enough. And Grosseto, once again, just as enough. And we've seen the Gret locking up in the background, who could have picked up an opportunity. But I tell you what, this little bit of battling, Aaron Smith's taking around about half a second out of these guys in the last lap, Sam.
Yeah, I think Grosseto needs to just bail on this one right now. I don't think this is going to end well. I don't think these guys can battle this hard for the next 3 minutes and 20 seconds. and still get through in one piece. I think Grosseto could probably keep Zwemstra behind, could probably keep Negretti behind him, as there goes Zwemstra again. Oh, he's sliding, he's round as Zwemstra. That's a huge change. That's one of our favourite for the race win, taking a huge setback there. Kept Zwemstra pushing too hard, and Glamstetter manages to get past. Zwemstra's still within the top 7. He should be able to get past Glamstetter fairly quick, but that is a huge setback, and considering that will affect his grid position for the A final, that is Alcantech taking a huge hit here at Zandvoort.
What was a lock up there from Zwemstra, nearly in the back of Glamstetter, and Russell nearly then following in the back in a big like motorway pilot, but now we've got 4 cars in one slipstream. Glamstetter, Zwemstra, Russell and Mauro, and only 2 of them can get through to the final. 2.5 minutes left on the clock from Heat 1, and it is game on here in Holland. The race to turn 1's on. Glamstetter defends the inside. Zwemstra tries to find a way around the outside. Can he do it this time? He was unsuccessful last time, and I think he might have just done it. Yes, he has. Glamstetter has to succumb and tuck straight in behind Zwemstra, but Russell once again in full attack mode as Glamstetter locks up there. Sam, that could have been, wow, could have been tight, but Glamstetter, I think maybe a bit of damage limitation. As we're going to see a replay of exactly how it all unfolded for Zwemstra with his spin.
Yeah, he was trying to get underneath Grosseto once again. He lost it fairly early on. The inside here. Oh no, actually it was fairly late, wasn't it? It was almost as though once he got on the power, he lost the car. Maybe not taking that exact line in the past. And down to 6th place. Does he have time to catch up to Smith? I think he might catch Smith. No, I don't think he will do, actually. I mean, 1.7 seconds, but Smith has got excellent pace. I mean, Smith was matched Martinson on that last tour of the circuit, so he's not going to be caught easy. Grosseto not under too much pressure from Negretti, and so it very much means that this is the battle which matters more than anything else. Glamstetter versus Russell. Russell's so good at getting into the A finals. Oh, Glamstetter's round. Russell manages to avoid him just about. That was very fortunate there for Russell, but also good pick to go to the outside. And Christian Glamstetter, who was fighting so hard, defending so well, has made a mistake right at the last, which is going to cost him a place in the A final.
White flag in the air, 1 lap to go, and that is game over for getting through to the final. Glamstetter looked like he was going to make it through, or at least just miss out maybe to Russell, but it's all come apart, and Russell is now gifted one of those automatic promotion spots into the final. Can he hold on? Mauro 8 attempts behind. It's going to be close. Still got this battle going on. I tell you what, I've just suddenly dawned on me, that's just McGrath, and that's Smith, who's done an impeccable job of closing up to that gap. Now only 4 tenths of a second separating those two. Grosseto is, well, largely thanks to Zwemstra's half spin earlier that we saw in that replay. Had a bit of breathing space, able to pull away. Zwemstra setting the fastest 3rd sector of anyone this time around. He's really still pushing and going for it here. But I tell you what, Sam, it's looking to me like, well, Olsen's going to win this one at a bit of a canter and a bit of an ease. And it also looks like Russell's going to pick up that last promotion place as out of the final corner comes Olsen. And he's going to claim victory here in Heat 1. He's through along with his teammate Martinson. Grosseto will make it through. Likewise, Negret, Smith, Zwemstra. He's made it through despite his half spin. And Russell picks up the last qualification place. Those top 7 through to the final.
Mauro not too far off, as we can see the Glamstetter mistake, which probably cost him a automatic spot in the A final. Oh, he just, yeah, well, I mean, it's simple. He just carried too much speed and didn't necessarily get too much curb, didn't necessarily get the wrong turning point, just too much speed, car understeering out. And I was saying earlier on how you got a lot of physical deterrence here at Zandvoort, and that is one of them, as though we have a crash in the background on the period lap. But Chuck Mauro, you know, will be on pole position, and I mean, you know, that's not the position that you want, 8th position, but it's better than any other position which isn't going to advance you straight through, so he'll be in pole position. And shout out as well to Candence Presley, his first ever round of the championship. Spence, what's going on with Spence?
I think he's had an incident. I think he's had an incident somewhere on track.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
And
We won't be able to see it. But
no, due to Beauty of iRacing, well, we've transitioned across the next session. Unfortunately, it doesn't keep the replays. Bit of a shame. Such is life. But he did have a bit of bent front wing. I'd never get words out in a minute. Bent front wing even, which won't have helped him whatsoever. Drivers start to take to the grid for Heat 2. Rasmussen, he lines up on the front row with Arvid Darson. Palacio has got a fellow countryman, Grant, for company, and top of the Pro-Am drivers. Cockrum lines up alongside Schnabel, who really suffered in qualifying. Vestman has Haig for company on row 4. Runnison and Alzagari ran out your top 10, 5th row of the grid, and a bit of a disappointing qualifying then from the Spaniard as well. Brewer, he lines up in 11th alongside Jose Arroyo with Jesper Sandström and Sebastian Groundland running at your 14 car grid on row 7. Wow. Is it going to be as exciting as the last one? Let's find out. Here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing for the second time this evening as we are green and we are away once again. And I'll tell you what, Rasmussen has not got the best to start because here comes Arthur Darson on the inside, and surely this is going to be for the lead as he's going to swoop through as there's battling in the background. Palacio and Grant, the two Americans, but look at Schnabel, he's up and there's a big incident. There's a big crash, and who's caught up in that one? Well, it's Palacio. Oh, devastating for him. But big winners out of that. Schnabel and Vestman up 3 places. And likewise was Alzagari, who's now in an automatic promotion spot. But Grant and Palacio, the two Americans, they were battling hard. They were in the second row of the grid, Sam, and they've ended up taking out each other, the fellow countrymen.
and it looked like the driver who was on the inside, which I believe was Palacio, maybe just didn't leave enough space on the outside. You've got to leave it yourself a cars and a half width just to be, you know, sure that you're not going to make contact on the opening lap. And unfortunately, that didn't seem to be the case, and they made contact and spinning off into the wall. A huge shame for the pair of them. And Palacio, well, I think he's got damage, may need to get repairs later on. But this is battling pretty hard right now. Hay in the mix of it, and that is Alzagari going up the inside. Contact between the two of them. Who is going to come off worse than that? They might both get away with it. Hay drops another place. He's now outside the top 7. It's Rowlandson who moves into the advancing spots.
I'll tell you what, this little pocket that Alzagari is sandwiched between, all sister teammates of Team Shazoo, Vestman, Cockrum, Rowlandson and Hay, all running the bread around the Alzagari meat sandwich right now. But Cockrum is under a bit of pressure from the Spaniard, who's looking for another place. He's not just hungry after making it 4 places up into 6. He wants another one, Sam.
Yes, I think we can get a replay of the race start with Palacio's incident. Here we go. Oh, wow, you can see Alzagari just a little bit further back. Yeah, he just squeezed him, didn't he? I don't know why he didn't leave a little bit more space there. And that is what affected Palacio. And also, of course, negatively affected Grant as well. But Grant somehow didn't get too much damage from that. So I'm not quite sure how that's possible. Apologies, by the way, it was Cockrum who was all over the place going to turn 1. I thought it was Alzagari, but no, it was Cockrum. He was very close to contact. I think he locked up maybe both front tyres on the entry to turn 1, nearly understeered into arrival. He's still going, but he's wide, and here comes Alzagari, who, after that nothing qualifying, I don't think he had any problems in qualifying, he just didn't have much pace. He is flying through the order. This will be 5 places gained for him. It's the same move as last time. It hasn't worked out though this time.
No.
Cockrum's round. They're all slowing up right behind, and Cockrum has to drop down to 7th place. Alzagari does make the move through, albeit may have got some contact, and really no one bar Rowlandson could really take advantage of that because the whole track was blocked.
It was indeed, as they banged wheels. I mean, it's a tricky place to overtake, and Cockrum could well drop out the automatic promotion places because Hay is making his way through the race down to turn 1. Here we go, and Cockrum right around the outside. You can hang it out around there. That banking really helping, and it's how Cockrum maintains 7th place for now. But these guys need to work together because surely they need to get on up the road after Rowlandson, after Alzagari, and after Vestman to stand the best chance rather than all squabbling. These 3 over the last promotion place in 7th.
Yeah, they need to think of the long game right now to these guys. But this race 2, or heat 2, sorry, has been so much more crazy than the first one. By the way, Breuer is currently top of the AMs. He's sort of just at the back of this pack, but it's got Jesper Sandström moving his way through. Sandström started from the pit lane, so did Graflin. Seemed like they lost a lot of time starting from the pit lane. Changes week by week, depending on what the pit lane is. Yeah, they have got some catching up to do those couple of pro drivers.
Sam, we're going to see a replay of exactly. Oh, hold on a second. There's Cochran that's going to be losing another place. Hey, oh, it's like history repeating itself, but unlike Alzagari and Cochran, Hey manages to avoid making contact and all squeezes Grant out wide there onto the grass as Cochran runs wide. It's all happening. Oh, Grant's around in the background, and that could be an incident as Breuer just about managed to avoid him. And Grant, well, contact on the opening lap with Palacio. That is it done and dusted surely for him in the heats.
Wow, that's things can change very quickly. P4 on the grid, coming off the most points at Okayama, and 2 incidents for Grant have really set him back tonight. He will do well to catch up to Jose Roy by the end of this race. He'll most likely be starting in his heat, or in the B final, sorry, in 10th position. Wow, that's rough for him. As we check in with our leaders, Arvidsson, still half a second clear of Rasmussen. Schnabel, yeah, sort of there, but it seems like Rasmussen's possibly got more pace than Schnabel tonight, which is not something we've seen so far this season. And after, you know, all my talk about how Alcantech are there, they're a match for Sim Race Sweden, we are looking at a Sim Race Sweden 1, 2, 3 on the grid for the A final.
Dominance from the Sim Race Sweden outfit once again. Alcantech unable to quite take it to them. We've got a replay, obviously we're about to see it, but it all kicked off on track as we've got, well, I can't believe it's only been 6 minutes completed out of the 10, but let's take a look at the replay of Al Zagari and Cochran. That earlier incident they had a couple of laps ago. It was ended up a bit, oh no, I think that's technical difficulties, so I can't bring you that one, but I tell you what, Sam, I mean, Cochran really losing out. He's been a bit bruised and battered, and now has dropped out of those automatic qualification places.
I don't think we might get that replay up after all, which will be quite an interesting one to see. With that incident earlier on, which, well, I don't know. Should you leave more space on the apex? Should you leave more space on the inside? And there was Williamson just putting his car in the right place at the right time. Casually, a very good drive so far from Williamson. And he's actually keeping up with Al-Zugari. So Al-Zugari, who was so quick earlier on, absolutely storming his way through. You're questioning why the hell is this guy not up in the top 3? Now his pace seems to have just stuttered as Al-Zugari. We'll see if he can pick it up a little bit later on in the race. Also, I think Sandström's just got past. Apologies, Cochran is defending against Sandström.
Yes,
so here comes Sandström. These guys both could be further up the order. Oh, we've seen a few moves here, and there's contact, and well, really, Sandström had his car alongside, and Cochran didn't leave the room, it looked like. Cochran now down 4 places from his race start. Sandström 1 place away from an advancing spot into the A final.
I mean, surely, Sam, those two should have been working together to catch up with Hay. I mean, they were battling over essentially nothing. 8th place does not get you into the final. 7th does. Surely logic says to me, it would have been better to work together, catch up to Rowlandson, and catch up to Have and go after him, rather than just battling out, losing time for yourself, heating up your tyres and risking a collision, which is ultimately what ended up happening to the pair of them.
Yeah, I imagine Sandström will be thinking that he was so much quicker than Cochran that it was worth sort of the overtake. He lost half a second, yeah, about half a second with that overtake. Well, actually, no, we're talking more. Maybe 7/10 of a second he lost for that. He must have been thinking, if I stay behind, and I'm going to lose 7/10 if I stay behind for another lap. So, but it didn't seem to work too well for him. I'm sure he would have liked to make that move a lot quicker. As there is Williamson still keeping tabs with Al-Zugari, nowhere near close enough for an overtake. So Sandström 1.5 seconds behind Hay at the moment. Hay 28.89. I don't think he's going to catch Sandström. If Hay can keep this one in line, he should have about quarter of a second spare, I think, at the checker flag. And I mean, obviously, if you're Sandstrom, you need to be there at least with half a lap remaining, so you can actually make the move. But I think Hayes got the pace right now to hang on to that P7.
He has some, because as the leaders come across the line, white flags in the air, 1 lap here to go in Heat 2. So for our drivers, we've got to give it absolutely everything they got in terms of Sandstrom. But as Sam says, I think he's just going to be that bit too far back to mount an attack. I mean, he's giving it absolutely everything. He's trying to close that gap down to Hay. Hay is no mug. Scott won't be shortchanged. I think he can hold on to this one, but I tell you what, you can see that Alcantech livery car in the background there. And it's not just me, Sam. That gap is visibly shrinking. Mind Game surely needs to come in now from Sandstrom to try and force Hay into a mistake, even when he's nowhere near him.
Yeah, and on that last lap, despite the fact that Sandstrom had a clear run at it, he was only 1/10 of a second quicker. He might have damage because we did see that contact. So, but I mean, it looks pretty good to me. Does that car? So maybe a slight inflection on the on the front wing. Is there? It always very tricky to tell. No, I didn't see anything on that F3 car. So he should be fine. It's not going to happen for him though. He's still 1.4 seconds behind. He is not going to make it through. Yes, for Sandstrom, and he will have to take part in the B final. Wow.
Big names losing out. Joins Julio Palacio in the B final. Will be coming up next. But through is Alvardason. He takes the win. Rasmussen second. Schnabel, great drive from him. He's at 3. Likewise is Vestman. Not as good as Al Zagari, the Spaniard, up 5 places. Rowlandson and Hay. They're going to round out your top 7. They're through to the final. And Sam, good to see fair few Pro-Ams making it through. Our top 3 in Pro-Am all heading across into the final automatically.
Yes, and I think in Heat 1 we had all the pros get through. In this race, a fair few less. So Palacio will be starting at the back of the V final. He's quick, is Julio. And we always see a lot happen in the B final. And I remember it's 14 minutes as well as this B final, so there is time to make up those positions. But let's go through the grid. Chuck Marrow on pole position ahead of Jesper Sandstrom. There's Cadence Presley in his first ever race. James Cockrum lines up in 4th position. Then it's Charney Gravland, who I remember started from the pits in his heat. Christian Glamsetter, who spun from 7th position in his heat. Matthew Breuer, Dorian Arroyo, Jose Arroyo, Michael Griffin, who spun as well. Palikui Grant, who's been very quick tonight and was very quick last or 2 weeks ago. Spence and Palacio. Who are you going to go for, Tim? Off the top of my head, I'm going to go for Marrow, Sandstrom, Cockrum, and Palacio.
I'm going to throw Gravland into that. Starting from the pits, as you mentioned, I think he's within every...
But he's not taking the quiz. So
it's not. And here come the lights. He has missed the grid as we get ready to go racing for the 3rd time today in the B final. And someone didn't get away there, and that was Presley. And he's fallen right to the back of the order as he lit up the rear to try and get in the way. But it's compressed the whole midfielders all having to squeeze one. And that's Cockrum, who's had to park it on the inside, heading straight to the pits. I wonder if he's had contact with Arroyo's run. It's all happening, and we barely even made it to the first corner, Sam.
I mean, an awful start. Awful start for Presley. And look at Charney, he's so slow. Come on, Cambrali, you're up 2 places. We've got Grant up 6. Palacio managed to get through it clean, but Presley, Griffin, Gravland, Arroyo, and Cockrum all with problems. Gravland had another pit lane start to serve, so that's why he was back there. Yes. But I mean, that's exactly what he needed. He's 5 seconds off the lead right now and right with the pack. Cambrali trying starts to pull away. Broy a little bit wide. He's going to be overtaken here by Glamsetter. There goes Glamsetter. We know he's got the pace to get through, does the Norwegian driver, but he cannot get held behind anyone slower. He needs to make sure he stays ahead of those pro drivers who are catching up to him behind. And so Glamsetter up into 4th place. Grant also makes his way through, and Grant might be looking at that move as well. As there goes Sandstrom, I think, trying to get past Maro just up the road. Should be fairly simple for Sandstrom from here on in, after getting through that first corner 3. But wow, what a queue of gyros we've got right behind the advancing spots.
Glamsetter locked up, and he's now vulnerable as battles up and down the field as Sandstrom gets ahead of Maro in an unconventional place there. Glamsetter could lose the place here that he's just gained from Grant. Grant is ahead. He's up into 4th. He's up 8 places, and he's got that last automatic promotion spot to the final. But it's not done and dusted as the race onto down to turn 1 is fully on. And Charney, well, in a bubble of his own, he's absolutely loving it as the AM driver right now, as that is Grant having to defend like mad in the background there, as Sandstrom having to do the same in the foreground against Maro, the Pro-Am driver who led most of the opening lap, is now really vying for the victory in this B final. But if they work together, the class and quality those two have got, they will pull away. And Brewer, well, he looked good initially, but has fallen back to 6th place. And it's all happening once again, Sam. You can barely, it's hard to know where to look, and you can't take your eyes off it whatsoever.
No, it's all going on right now. And Cadence Presley, has he got that pace back again? It's pretty good for the American driver right now in that 8th position. Oh, this is a long race. I mean, it's an odd one. 14 minutes, the majority of the time would be extremely short, but these can almost feel like endurance races because so much happens in them, as I think we can get a replay of the race start. Try to pick apart what's happened earlier on.
Was there a jump start there in the background?
Oh, there was.
Yeah, it's Cochrane jump start, Sam. And then, wow, alongside him, Presley just didn't get away.
No, and then, I mean, in front of that as well was 4 wide, I think, as Zandvoort. Craziness. Oh, then there was the issue for, I think that was Dorian Arroyo, or maybe Jose Arroyo, who had that spin. So unfortunate for him. And they were leaving absolutely nothing on the table for those first few corners. I don't think we've had any changes. Feels just getting closer and closer.
Ooh,
Chinese being caught.
Palacio into the pits. That's not good. He is, well, that's going to pretty much destroy by some biblical size luck coming his way. Any chance of him making it into the final? I think he might have even retired the car, to be fair. That's looking like he is done and dusted for today. Had enough and checked out.
Oh, so Mario was in 2nd place, apologies.
He was, Sam.
He's dropped down to 4th place, so that was the change. And we'll get a replay of...
I think we're getting a replay on here in my ear. Let's take a look. And it's close to that grass on the outside. Did he catch it, or was it too much speed in? There we go. Well held, to be fair. Barrow held that well. It could have gone a lot worse, and he could have lost even more time in places.
Yeah, he lost 2.5 seconds because of that mistake, did Mario. So he's down to 4th place, and after looking like a fairly easy route to the A final, has just become extremely tricky. Look at Grant, he's up 10 places from his race start as Palikuri Grant. We do know that he's a very quick driver, but we did see him make a mistake earlier on in his heat. So, you know, he needs to make sure that he doesn't become complacent, needs to stay focused. As Charney, I don't think Charney's necessarily very quick. I would go as to far say Charney may only be the 9th fastest driver in this race, and yet he's up there in P3 just because he's put his car in a good position. Oh, this is going to be a long 9 minutes for Charney. He is going to do extremely well to stay in this top 4.
Spend racing driver. How much he's got left in the tank for it? It all ends up spent. But I tell you what, Barrow and Glamsetter are going to make his life an absolute misery. For Sam said, it's going to be 2/3 race distance pretty much. They'll be desperate to try and either push him along or just get ahead of him and give themselves that buffer of getting through right now. Glamsetter, he's the one to watch out for surely, because he's got the pace, Sam. And also, he's lying in 5th, so that means at the moment he will not be making the final. Only our top 4 progressing. I tell you what, Charlie knows it's difficult to overtake around here, and he's placing his car exactly where he needs to in every single corner. Yes, he's playing the defensive game. Yes, it's not pretty, but by golly, yes, it's...
Oh, Gressie's made a mistake. Oh, that's gone. Presley, after that poor start, he had the pace, I think, to get through. But in his first ever Apex Racing League event, he is not going to do it. Maro back ahead of Chinese, up into P3 now is Chuck Maro. Was Glamseta able to go with him? No, he was not. So Chinese remains in fourth position.
He's
no, he has done. Yeah, Chinese down to fifth
Chinese
position.
off. I think he's come off track somewhere, Sam. There's a bit of a kick up of dust in the background there. I'm wondering if he's run wide at Tarzan.
That's a good shout. And, well, I said it would be a long 9 minutes. He was only able to hang on for, well, to be fair, hang on for 6.5 minutes. He was nearly halfway there, was Charlie, and now he would just need to try to keep himself in play. We got a replay. What happened to him? You see, I'm a little bit confused by this one because it seemed like he got done by Grant, apologies, by Maro, and then that was a done deal. Yeah, he's just sort of lost it by himself.
Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, just caught the bit of the gravel truck, dips his wheels into it, and Glamsetter said, "Thank you very much. I've got extra speed. I'm coming through. I'm going to have fourth place off you, and I'm going to get myself into the final." And gutting for the Charney. You know, he would have been the only driver to make it through out of the AMs into the final, but it's not done and dusted yet, Sam, by any stretch of the imagination. We're only just over half race distance, and one thing that we have learned from this evening, yes, the races are short, but my golly, they're cram-packed to the rafters with action, drama, and excitement and unpredictability that could see. Anyway, I mean, Gravland started from the pits. He's up to 7th. And he's not that far away from 4th.
There he goes.
There they go.
And that's another one down. Oh dear, Spencer Breuer. Uh-oh. That is 2 cars stationary on the side of the road.
Oh, no.
And what happened there? Because I think Gravland got past...
Oh, he's got... I think it's that broken
one of
steering.
them. Oh, yeah, that's
suspension.
what came back to the pits. Sure, we'll get a replay of that one in just a moment. That's now 4 retirements in this B final. All sorts of separate incidents. That Cochran jumped the start and then I think threw in the towel. I think Palacio had a technical issue, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Spencer and Breuer, I think both having crashes out on circuit. Gravland now ahead of Charney. He's 1.
Oh, no.
Wait, no. He's gone off. No. He's not going to make it now, Gravland. That top 4 looking very secure. And, well, Seb couldn't afford to waste any time as we get a replay of what happened down at turn 1 for Breuer.
All looking good. Obviously, he loses it by himself. And then, oh, no, he ran it in deep. And that's where the contact happened, Sam. Wasn't expecting that one. I was expecting maybe it's a bit of a sympathy spin. But no, where he's taking that wider line, you just T-bowed him.
So that was that Spence who lost it originally, and then Breuer got in on the scene, I believe. And so both of them back to the pits. Now, okay, Chuck and Christian, you're through. You're in the top 4. It's all good. You'll be thankful about this. Particularly Glamstat, who started 7th place in this race. No need to fight. Just stay into line. I know that, I mean, it's a place in the final, I know, for Glamstat. But come on, it's 17th place versus 18th place in the A final. There's no points on offer here. Just stay behind. It's not worth the fight. But we'll see. 4.5 minutes to go.
Sam, these are racing drivers. Logic just goes out the window, doesn't it? It's all about just getting on over your opponent, finishing in a higher position. I mean, that might be the podium overall, but it's the podium in the B final. And I tell you what, Glamsetter, I wouldn't put it past him to have a bit of a lunge up into T1 here. I mean, it's just agonising. He's sort of close enough, but not quite close enough. I think he might have a bit of a look, put the feelers out on Maro here on the run down to turn 1. However, said that, he's just taken a 10th out of him. There's another half attempt. He is closing. It is the Crips Racing driver. And Maro has got to defend for him as Glamsetter taking different lines from our drivers there as Maro weave on to break the slipstream, but it's not worked because Glamsetter is there. But I tell you what, there's 2 different lines through the final corner, Sam. Glamsetter went a lot shallower than Maro, and it actually cost him a little bit of time. It cost him about 2 tenths difference.
Yeah, that's... I'm not sure if it's flat out in these cars, that final corner. I think it is. pretty much for these guys after the pace that they lose through the penultimate corner. And yeah, it didn't quite work out for him. Also, I wonder if there's slightly different drag levels being used by these two drivers. You can see the rear wings much thicker than the non-existent rear wings that we had back at Monza and Fuji earlier on in the season. And so they're just dropping off a little bit now. I mean, he's been hounding that P3 driver for this entire race, and this is pretty much the biggest that the gap has been for the entire event. Just a reminder, I mean, I was saying earlier on that there's no points for this A final, apologies for this B final. That's if you get through to the A final. If you're 5th or lower, there are points. So, you know, the positions behind do matter out on circuits, but at the moment, not really any battles going on. Griffin being caught a little bit by Presley, I believe, but even that's being fairly neutral at the moment. So this is the closest battle as Glamsetter closes back up, the gap's back down, so just 0.3 of a second.
Tell you what, I'm getting a bit worried, Sam. I can feel it in my waters. It's going to end in tears for someone, or maybe even both of them. And if it does, well, I think there'll be a few choice words, a few wagging fingers in the chat in Discord as locking up is Glamsetter. 3 attempts. This is how far he's behind Mauro. Closes in, got a much better run there. The gap is now under 2 attempts. Make that 0.15 of a second. Glamsetter gets too close, just into the dirty air, gets affected, has to drop back a little bit against Mauro. Where will Glamsetter mount an attack? He needs to surely size him up. Out of 10, down to Hans Ernst, and then get the best possible run that he can muster, that he can manage through Kumo, through the final turn, and then launch an attack into turn 1, because when these drivers come around across the start-finish line, the white flag is going to be in the air. That's going to mean 1 lap left remaining, and that is going to be his best chance, Sam. The run into turn 1, and if he doesn't take it this lap, then I don't think he's going to get past.
Yeah, I think Glamsetter, you know, I was saying, you know, no need to fight this one. Oh, he's wide. Oh, is he going to lose the car? He's on the cross. He's going to lose it. And surely where's Charney? Charney's going to swoop through. Charney's and he is going to be able to take that position. And Glamsetter is going to only have a couple of corners to make the move. Heck, even Gravelin might be able to get past. Oh, Christian, I was about to pick you up and say that you're not going to push it. He did push it. And for the 2nd race in a row, he was in the advancing spots, and yet on the penultimate lap of the race, on both occasions, he has made a mistake around the same corner.
Look who's there, that's Graveland. He's now back in with a shout. He looked down and out after the half spin, and now he could end up getting through. It's a freeway fight over 1 place to get into the final. Charney versus Graveland versus Glamsetter. They've all made mistakes, and then they've all come back together right for the final lap. This is it. Can't leave anything on the table. You've got to give everything you've got. If you want to get in that final, you cannot leave anything but rubber on the track. And get rid of the fuel out of the tank by maximising your pace. And I tell you what, that is a big tank slapper there from Graveland, but he holds on to it, and he is onto the back of Charney. This is going to be a lunge. Charney squeezes him, and Graveland squeezes back. They both lock up, but here comes Glamsetter. Will he get through? He's the truck's back, and oh no, Charney nearly collects Glamsetter. He did. And Graveland's going to get through, and this is surely going to be looked at by the stewards post-race. But Graveland, wow, he's going to make it. Sandstrom wins. Grant and Mauro, I mean, well, forget about that. We didn't even see him cross the line, and who cares when we had action like that? And Graveland is through to the final in 4th.
Charney didn't defend the move. He didn't defend the move into Hans Ernst Bock. He left more than a car's width on the inside. Obviously, Graveland went for the inside, got his car alongside, and at that point, it was too late to defend.
Sam, I think Graveland seemed to get such a great run out of turn 10, right around the outside, and that's what just allowed him to carry that bit of extra pace and then pull alongside enough to, you know, on the run down to Hans End. And Charney, I think he tried to squeeze him right up onto the grass, but had to give him some room, you know, legally, because he was more than enough alongside him. but it was just too late for Charney. He couldn't close the door because Graveland was already alongside.
Yeah, exactly. And once they did get to the braking zone, Charney just broke way too late. I think he realised that the move was gone, and he went for something too ambitious. And we're describing what happened. Let's go have a look at what happened. And yeah, it looked like after all of that, Glamsetter might be able to get through there. Well, so Charney's, I mean, that's a block there. He didn't leave enough space, and then he's way too late on the brakes. Graveland just about got it stopped. And then Charney trying to speed across there, and then braking just clips Glamsetter, who lost his rear wheel as well, so he couldn't even drive to the finish. And managing to drive through all of that was Michael Griffin, who managed to get that P5 in the end, but still wasn't enough to get through to the A final for Griffin. Wow, well, I thought Charney was going to do it there. He's driven such a good race, and then he's just really wasn't strong enough with his defense initially, and then was too strong with his defense on that last lap.
So, from Heat 1, Olsen, Matteson, Grosseto, Negrete, Smith, Swampstrom, Russell all made it through. Wow. Maury, Presley and Charney rounded out your top 10. They narrowly missed out. Let's take a look across into Heat 2, where Arvidarsson, Rasmussen, Schnabel, Vestman. Well, Algazari, what a recovery drive from him to make it through. Rollison and Hay, last of the qualification spots. Samstrom, the big story, he missed it out and had to go into the B final along with Cochrane and Graveland. But what a B final it gave us, because Sandstrom, Grant and Maury, well, they just carried off into the distance, but it was all about that battle for fourth. Charney had it. And then, well, it just all unfolded because Glamsetter held it for quite a while until he lost it himself. Graveland in the end raced Charney down to Hans Ernst, nearly made contact. Graveland got up the inside. Charney then made contact where he missed the corner, unfortunately, with Glamsetter. They were down and out. And Griffin, he started 11th, picking up 5th. Did the AM driver, nearly had an AM driver make the final, Sam. I think it's the first time this season we haven't had one in the final.
Exactly, yeah, I was predicting too. I was.
You were very positive and brave.
Yeah. But yeah, no AM, so it's a very much a cucumber and tomato salad today. There's no mayonnaise involved in it, and so by the way, guys, the face that Tim's just pulled at me is one of perfection. I'm sure everyone at home understands what I mean. Bring on the salad metaphors. Tobias Olsen is on pole position for the A final. Isaac Arvidsson, come on Tim, let's maybe serious here.
Oh, yeah.
Arvidsson is in second position, Martinsson is in third. It's a sim race Sweden 1, 2, 3. That's Rasmussen. Grosseto, who was very strong in his heat. Schnabel with some work to do. One last time out, remember, Okayama, but he's got some work to do from 6th. There's Negrete, Vesman, Smith is looking like he'll be the championship leader in the Pro-Ams at the end of today, as long as he can have a decent result in this one. Then it's Josu Alzugare. Kevin Swemstra, watch out for him. He'll be moving up through the order. Rolinson, Russell, Hay, Sandstrom will be very quick. I think he'll get up into the top 10 at least. Grant, Murray and Graveland rounding out the 18.
Wow. Place your bets, folks. Who's going to take victory here in Holland? It's time to find out, because here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing in round 4 of the championship for the final time today. We are green and we are away racing. And who's going to come out in front down to turn 1? Olsen slightly ahead, he covers it off, feeling vulnerable from Arvid Arsen, but right around the outside, Martinson, can he call one? The Sim Race Sweden lock out all the podium places as they're all just about side by side and making it through in the background, in the midfield. And so far, everyone pretty much, well, bar in the back, as they're shuffling around. And I think as someone come off, no, they've all just reshuffled themselves. Mauro, he's at 3 places. Likewise is Sandstrom up into 12. A great start for him, just what he wanted. Alzagari, after great form in the previous round, he unfortunately is down 1 place, but Zamstra getting ahead of him. Wow, there's Vestman passing the Gret there, and well, it's hard to know where to look. The Gret under a lot of pressure in that little battle. Well, there's about 5 cars all on top of one another. There's a lock up there. I think that was Rowlandson.
Yeah, too wide for much of the second half of the pack. There's also 2 packs right now going on in the order. So Sandstrom not making, well, apologies, I was about to say he was making my figures. Up 3 places, of course. Barry up 4 places. So good work from the pair there, and Graveland up a couple as we have a couple of overtakes down at the chicane. Once again, Russell, who I think very nearly made contact down at turn 3. He was off the circuit going into turn 3, managed to keep it running. As Arvidsson has gone off the circuit, and that's another classic penultimate corner mistake, and that is the first mistake we've seen from Sim Race Sweden since qualifying, and Arvidsson down to 7th place. The championship leader is going to lose his championship lead to Tobias Olsen if the results end like this.
That looked like a lockout for the podium for Sim Race Sweden, but that mistake, man, one mistake is all it takes. There's all the Gret to defend, but Sandstrom just too powerful right round the outside of Hungelholz, and the run up the hill, and the Gret has to tuck in once again behind Sandstrom, who is through, and now head down, has to chase after Smith, who has pace. Likewise, he's Smith in a battle with Alzagari, Zemsha, Arvidsson, who, well, let's face it, shouldn't be where he is. If he hadn't have had his mistake, he would have been clearing out the front. Grosseto once again is shining a light for the Pro-Ams. 5th overall as Grant trying to go right around the outside of Graveland there.
Yeah, he's...
Oh no, sorry, it's a Russell, apologies.
yeah, that's Russell dropping place,
yeah, it's because it's got Rowlandson versus Graveland ahead of him. Well, they're locked in a very similar battle right now. I mean, literally, the biggest gap between any of our drivers right now out on track is 9/10 of a second. That's between Martinson and Rasmussen.
Here comes Vesman. Well, Vesman close to Grosseto and Arvidsson close to the pair of them. And also, we have Smith, who has not had a good race so far, versus Negretti, who's also not had a very good race so far. And they're both being caught by Sandstrom and Mauro. Sandstrom also with a decent race, but of course a huge setback from those from that pit lane start back in his heat. Sandstrom can't quite make the move yet. Oh, now he can. There's contact between the two of them, and off into the wall goes Aaron Smith. And I was saying how he would be the championship leader in the Pro-Am category. I think he will be after tonight. But once again, if we've learned anything from the Pro-Ams, no one ever gets an easy run of it. And he is another victim of that, as there goes Arvidsson up into the top 5. Well, he's not done it yet, but he's gonna do it. Wow. Great stuff there from Arvidsson to be able to get past Grosseto. He has been overtaken by a couple of pros. Now he's with Vesman. That is for the top of the Pro-Am category. Vesman with a slight attempted move. It didn't quite work out for him. But, well, we've got a fantastic top 5 there. I just hope that Arvidsson can catch up to the guys ahead.
What a move from Arvidsson. Right round the outside, the long way round, the hard way round. Got the move done as Zemstra trying to do the similar sort of thing right round the outside there. Investment can't get it done. While these guys are just heading towards the final corner, let's take a look at the replay of exactly how it all unfolded. Sam, I'll tell you what, it was a crazy set of circumstances.
Netcode, it looked like, I mean, that's a long way away, but I think I can see a gap between the two cars. And that was how Smith went off into the wall. Wow. He was in a great momentum, was Smith. It's a big shame for his championship hopes. Grant versus Rowlandson. Again, these two have not been separated so far. I think Grant should be the slightly fast driver. He was certainly faster in qualifying, and he did make the move on that previous lap. So Grant in that 11th position, 3rd place out of the Pro-Ams. This race has gone, or this evening has gone much better for him since that bit of a dreadful heat that he had earlier on in the day. And Zwimster trying to make up some moves. Remember, he was looking very good in qualifying, then made a mistake at the start of his heat. Hasn't really done as much progress as maybe he would have hoped, but he is up 3 places. He's got Grosseto Investment. If he can get past Grosseto Investment, that will be pretty much all he can do. He's not going to catch it up to Arvidsson realistically.
You say this, Sam. Remember what happened in the last race of today, the B final. Fourth like it was done and dusted. and then it all kicked off. And then, by some stretch of the imagination, I'm still...
Oh, that's into the wall.
Oh, that's... No, I think he's tipped it out, but he's on the grass. Vestman, well, hell, but he's losing 2 places. Negret, Sandstrom ahead. Oh, and gutting for Vestman. But this place runs Grissetto's hand because now he's got a healthy lead at the top of Pro-Am in the final as Palacio Grant is going to head through. Is he? Oh, it's going to be tight. There's contact. Vestman spat to the outside. No, sorry, it was Grant who spat to the outside. And now he loses a load of places.
I wouldn't want to be the stewards on that one. I don't know who left enough space. I don't know if Grant left enough space. He's getting back up to speed, but he's not going to let Alzugari have this one easy. Alzugari will have it eventually, but Grant, well, back down to 16th place. Oh, he was having such a good run. Grant, brilliant race from him up to that point. And he went for a fair move, but it did not work out for him. At least he can continue in this race so far. The only retiree being Aaron Smith, married just at the back of the pack. I think must have made a mistake earlier on here because he is 5 seconds detached. Olsen leading the way ahead of Martinson, who has not got close so far. Rasmussen trying to break the dominance. Best round of the championship so far for Rasmussen. Really good stuff, and honestly one of the best rounds I think we've seen from him in the last couple of seasons in the F3. Always a very established driver on Apex Racing TV, but is sometimes lacking that absolute pace to his teammates. He has been the fastest Orkan Tech driver though. I mean, maybe Zwemstra was as fast in qualifying, but I mean, credit to Rasmussen, he was the one who kept it on track in the heats, and he's been able to pull away from Schnabel in the A final. Rasmussen, absolutely the top guy in that team tonight, but he's been unlucky because Olsen and Martin have been on great form. Wow, as there goes Orkan Tech versus Simrace Sweden once again. Schnabel holds on. Arvidsson was carrying so much speed. I thought he was going to just swoop around the outside, but Schnabel held on far.
Well, there was a bit of, I think there was a bit of contact there, Sam.
Oh, there was, yeah.
And, well, just how is that sitting with Arvidsson right now? It's going to be a bit busy. I'm sure when it comes to passing Schnabel this time around, whereas he might have left a bit of room and been a bit more, you know, safer, I think he's going to make his life very difficult and give Schnabel some very tough decisions to make. 8 minutes out of the 18 complete in round 4 of the championship. Olsen leads from Martinson. Rasmussen in your last podium place. A very Scandinavian feel to that one with Schnabel 4th, Arvidsson 5th. Grissetto leader in AM 6 overall. Svenstra, Sandstrom, Negret take it to 9th with Vestman 2nd in Pro-Am and rounding out your top 10. Rowlandson last the podium position. Well, I say that Gravelant up the inside of Rowlandson says see you later, thank you very much, and takes the place from Rowlandson. But will he be able to defend on the run down to turn 1? I think we stay with these guys so we can find out. Hey, Russell, Alzugari, Grant, Mauro, and Smith rounding out your field. Of course, Smith, he has got up and running again, but heading into the pits. So the race down to turn 1. Here we go. And I tell you what, Rowlandson needs to be careful here because, hey, behind him is going to make a lunge up the inside. Is there going to be contact where there was before? No, they managed to avoid one another just about somehow, some way. And somehow Rowlandson holds on to the place, Sam.
And Russell seems to be getting a lot quicker now. He was having a very tricky time there earlier on with Russell, but that was a good last lap from him actually. A 29.10. Alzugari with a 29.12. And Grant with a 29.11. So within 200ths of a second were the 3 of them. And yeah, it's looking likely that Russell will make up at least 1 position. Just ahead of these guys, Negretti with a 30.0, lost a second to these Jazz. Now, I'm not sure if that was just a single mistake there, but he needs to be careful, as that is Rowlandson running wide once again. Hey, with the outside line, this is the track gets wide. Hey, we'll have the inside for the next corner. I think he's got this one done. The Scottish driver is up to 12th position, as all the chopper view shows how Philip Russell nearly made contact. I'm not sure if that was a block, but after a brilliant heat from Rowlandson, he is dropping back slightly, and I think Russell is the fast driver. And look at Alzugari and Grant, they have caught up in just half a lap. Oh no, Hayes in the next one to make a mistake through the penultimate corner, and he will be slowed down the pit straight as Grissetto versus Zwemstra. Zwemstra ahead of Grissetto. Oh no, there's been a crash ahead. That was Arvidsson off.
Oh no, it's all gone wrong for him yet again. Another incident. And he's... Well, that's his race over. Surely, Sam, he's right down to 16th. I know, never say never, but with 7 minutes left on the clock, that's surely going to be his race done.
Now, did he make contact with Schnabel? I think he did, because Schnabel has lost some time.
Let's take a look at the replay, Sam. Is he running? I think just too much pace running. Oh, no, and then contact.
Yeah, so he was sort of only in the middle of the circuit when he made the move, and good work there from Arvidsson to hesitate before pulling back out on circuit, otherwise he would have made some contact with some other drivers. Well, okay, he needs to look at the positives here. This is going to be a fun final few laps. He's got 5 cars ahead of him, all of which he's got time to pass. Let's see how many he can do.
It's definitely going to be entertaining for him, isn't it, to say the least. I mean, this is a chain of, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars ahead of him, pretty much. For him to have a bit of a play with, as there's lockups aplenty going on there on the run down to Hans Ernst. But I think we're going to get another look at the replay of the incident that saw him lose all of these places. As
a little bit of netcode again, but contact may have been made regardless.
Seems happened to Mauro as well. He's lost a lot of time.
Let's see if there's going to be a change here for Hay. He's under pressure. Also, Arvidsson slowing with... Oh no, Alzugari's off the circuit. That was just in the pack ahead of them. And Arvidsson ahead. Apologies, that was was it? He lost position, so was it Mauro?
Well, they were all pretty
much
at the moment. But let's take I think we've got another replay right now of exactly what happened to Alzugari. As we see him locking up once again. Those tyres, well, they're definitely going to be on the toastier side of warm. And did he lock that up by himself there, Sam? I think he might have caught the grass and locked their ears trying to correct it.
Well, he saw the 2 ahead of him, and I thought they were going to go 3 wide, but I mean, it's such a narrow circuit, there was no space for him to go into.
Never say never, Sam. Never say never in this race.
Fancy sacrificing himself rather than going into the back of the car ahead and picking up some damage and some pit lane starts. So, probably the wise thing to do there. Negretti marginally ahead of Vesman. Vesman is the faster driver though. I think he was 4 tenths of a second quicker on that last lap. Great performance right now from Nicholas Vesman. All these pro rounds, they just pop up for rounds and we're like, wow, this guy's going to win the championship, and then they disappear for the next 3 rounds, crashing every other race. And this is the same thing, Grassetto and Vesman. For guys who've just been into the championship, these guys have not been dominant by any means.
Ravland has been quick all evening as well. Let's not forget him, Sam. It's all in the background there. Rowlandson, well, can he get the move done? No, he can't.
No, he's lost that.
Oh, he has as well. I was going to see, oh, they bang wheels there, and this is getting tight, and it's getting a tougher track as he holds on. So what is 6th place in class, 13 overall against Grant, but Arvidsson behind them starting to close up, and it's going to close up even quicker, especially if they start going too wide across the top of the hill, and they almost touch wheels once again as they dip down now. For the first time, they have a bit of fresh air between the pair of them. 4 tenths of a second. In fact, make that 5 tenths now. I thought they were going to end up just tangling wheels, Sam, and ending off the track together.
I always say it, sometimes battles can get personal, and that was getting personal there, and that just means that drivers pretty much leave no space for one another. They just start squeezing one another unnecessarily down the straights, and I think that was what was going on. They were not thinking rationally there, and they're very fortunate that there's now a gap between them. I hope that's I hope that they do get close to one another, but I hope for their sakes they do not get close to one another, because it'll only be a matter of time until there is a crash. Vesman close to Negretti, the gap 3 tenths of a second. Feeling the need to break the draft is the American driver, going for his best result of the season of 8th position. Vesman's not going to be able to do anything around that, and that is what he just needs to do for the rest of the race if he's going to hold on to 7th position. Gravland not really doing much against these guys. He actually lost some time that last lap, so he's not going to catch by the end. The guys are doing everything that he needs to do. Behind them, Gravland is being caught by Hay, but not especially quick, only by a 10th of a second on that last lap, so you don't expect to necessarily move anytime soon there. What about Arvid? I think Arvidsson may have damage, because he's not been quick since that incident. He's in the 29.6s, That's about a second slower than we were doing.
I think they're at it again, once again, Rollinson and Grant. As they came sort of down the hill, it looks incredibly close together, and the fact that they've got that bit of a gap between them right now is lock up in the foreground. I think that might have been from Russell, or to be fair, they're so close together, it could have been Gravland or Hay. You see Grassetto right now trying to defend off the advances of Sandstrom, trying to find a way to finish.
Investment, sorry, it just had a little bit of a switch behind. Oh, is he going to do it? Gritty's still ahead.
Oh, Sam, it's getting close, it's getting tight out on track right now. When they come across the line, well, exactly right now, 1 minute 30 left remaining, and after they've completed this lap, they will have 1 lap to go. White flag will be in the air. You just do not want this one to end. There's been so many twists, so many turns to the story, and Russell about to add another one to it as he goes ahead of Gravland. As Sandstrom and Grassetto, they're battling away as well. They're side by side on the exit of Hogelholtz. And just ahead is Sandstrom finally. He's managed to find a way past Grassetto, who has to yield, but he's fighting back, and he's fighting back hard. He knows he's running out of time. He's running out of opportunities to find his way past. Well, Sam, I think realistically, from these guys all the way down, this could finish absolutely any way, and I bet it's going to finish in tears for someone, as yet again Negrete and Vestman side by side alongside one another, and Vestman gets to drive off the corner, and that is him in front, but can he hold on the run down to Hans Ernst? Can he defend it? Well, in the end, he doesn't need to. He's that far ahead of the American.
1 more lap to go. We're just about going to sneak in another lap at Okayama. We were short by about 3 seconds every single time. This time we make it by 7 seconds, and it's still Olsen leading the way ahead of his teammate Martinsson. Rasmussen failing to keep the pressure on this entire race. Schneider with a very boring race, frankly, in 4th position. And Zwemstra and Sandstrom really with comeback drives to finish in 5th and 6th. It looks like at least that will be where they are, all 4 consecutive drivers in those places. Just, well, I mean, 4 drivers in the top 6 for any other team, that would be good. I'm sure they will be a little bit frustrated that they weren't able to beat more than one of the Sim Racing Sweden drivers tonight. There goes Rolinson up the inside. Apologies, that's Grant trying to get past Rolinson. If Rolinson holds on to this one, it'd be an absolute miracle. Now, this is round 3. Up the hill. So far, they have come super close to a move. Here comes Grant. Has he got the space on the outside? Has he got the speed on the outside? No, he doesn't. Rolinson still holds on, but Grant is right in play. Here he goes, up the inside. That's not an overtaking spot. He has to hesitate. Oh, Rolinson's taken way too much curb. He smashes into the wall. He will not have the drive to get to the start-finish line. Rolinson in the wall, and that was the only way that that battle could end.
Said it would end in tears for someone, Sam. And Rolinson is that driver, just carried too much speed, pushing so hard. It was an amazing battle between South and Grun, but out in front, they've had a quiet race all race long. It is a 1-2 for Sim Race Sweden Esports. Tobias Olsen is your winner. Martinson comes across the line in second, and Rasmussen is going to round out your podium places. The Alcantech by Nyman Racing driver picks up that last podium place. Schnabel, Zemstra, Sandstrom. Good recovery from Sandstrom, up 9 places. Grassetto, winner in Pro-Am. He's 7th overall, with Vestman 2nd in Pro-Am, and last of the Pro-Am podium, it is Alistair Hay. He rounds out your top 10 as well. Wow. What a race. But flawless from 2/3 of Sim Race Sweden. They could have made it a full podium lockout if Arvidsson hadn't have made that mistake. But I'll tell you what, let's head back to the studio. We'll catch up on the results, and we'll speak to some of the drivers. This quick commercial break.
Well, welcome back, and Zandvoort, it's meant to be calm, it's meant to be quiet, and we've experienced 4 races that were anything but. Let's just take a quick rundown of the results quickly and try and take stock of what we've just witnessed here tonight. Olsen running out your winner, making it 1-2 for Sim Race Sweden Esports, with Martinsen joining him on the podium. Rasmussen running out the last of those podium places with Schnabel, Zemstra and Sandstrom taking it to 6th place. Then it is our first of the Pro-Am drivers, Grassetto, first victory of the season for him in category. Vestman joins him on the podium. Negretti finishes 9th, with Alistair Hay running at top 10. And the last podium places within a Pro-Am. Then, well, it was just madness from there behind, pretty much, with Russell 11th, Gravland, Grant, Arvidsson even, Mauro, Rowlinson being the first driver a lap down, with Smith also a lap down, and Al-Zaghari 4 laps down the end. Disappointing for him after he carried a lot of momentum through the heats as well. He'll be gutted by that one, but geez, that incident, having to retire from this race. But Sam, where do we begin to unpack that one? It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, I keep on saying it every week. We keep on thinking, well, next week won't be as crazy as that. But man, I think that may have been, the best of the bunch, honestly. There were so many sort of close packs out there, particularly in that midfield in the A final. And I just hope that we see more of the same this season. But we've been to 2 tight, twisty circuits, 2 kind of speed zones, and the racing's pretty much been the same all the way through.
So let's have a bit of a chat to one of our drivers. First up, it is your race winner here today, Tobias Olsen of Sim Race Sweden Esports. Tobias, wow, that was crazy to say the least. But I think for yourself, it seemed relatively quiet out in front today. Can't quite hear Tobias, unfortunately. Oh, Tobias, can you hear us? No, I'm not sure. I think he's a couple of technical gremlins in the system right now. But Tobias, well, absolutely crazy race for him. Well, I say that, but he was out in front, nice and quiet in some ways, and sure, probably wasn't quite how I perceived, but always. So Sam joins us once again. But I mean, normally it's a good sign when you're out in front and if you hardly get shown on the cameras, because it means you've had a bit of an eventful race. But Tobias was pushed quite a bit by his teammate, to say the least. Yeah, sure. He couldn't make a single mistake. And I mean, those guys, they are teammates, but it's competitive. They know that they are fighting for the championship between themselves. And so if there was the slightest bit of weakness shown by Tobias in that race, as we, I guess, saw at Monza when he picked up that slowdown, they would have been taken advantage of by the opposing drivers. So really important that he kept his mind focused. Rasmussen, he wasn't that far behind ultimately, was he, Sam? Well, yeah, and it was great to see Nicholas there, really, stepping it up. He was faster than Schnabel tonight. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Absolutely brilliant job from himself to be able to kind of step it up. And I just hope that we see that, because, it's going to be tricky. Olsen and Arvidsson, and to be fair, Martinson as well, but I think particularly those top 2, you sort of need 3 or 4 drivers in Auckland Tech to be able to take the challenge to them, because not necessarily Schnabel's going to necessarily be up there every single week. So having the guys like Rasmussen who can occasionally pop up and fight with those top 2 Sim Race Sweden drivers, that's going to be a really important thing. So hopefully Auckland Tech can continue to push on, because their strength and depth is really better than anyone else. Oh, well, yeah, we'll come on to Lennart Schnabel in a minute. He's someone I would definitely want to mention and have a chat if you get your thoughts on, Sam. I believe now we managed to sort out some technical difficulties. Tobias Olsen, can you hear us?
I hear you guys.
There we go. Great to speak to you. We were saying that we didn't see too much of you due to the craziness that was ensuing behind you. Did it feel as comfortable being out in front as what it was perceived from the commentary box, or we were just discussing then that, I mean, you were being pushed quite a bit the whole race long, as easy as it may have looked for you?
Yeah, it was. I had to give it like everything tonight to be able to match my teammates first and foremost. So a really good qualifying, taking P1, and then managed to win the first heat there. And yeah, starting on pole is always good in the final. So and yeah, not sure what happened to Isaac, but maybe hit the curb or something, I think.
Well, obviously, in terms of your, sort of pace and such like, it's difficult to overtake. Well, normally the case at Zandvoort, although quite a few of the people behind you showcase some absolutely spectacular moves. Did you know that, obviously, being on pole, do you think that's going to give you the best chance of winning because you could pretty much cover off any attacks that would come from behind due to the relative difficulty is to overtake around Zandvoort?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to defend and take a defensive line in most of the corners. I think maybe the best opportunity to get an overtake done is in turn 1, or turn 1, I would say. So yeah, starting on pole is important around here, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, before we let you go, Tobias, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
SimRaceSweden.com and you guys for doing this. Thanks for tonight.
Hey, with the grace racing that you guys put on, it always makes some jobs a lot more easier and a lot more enjoyable. Congratulations, Tobias Olsen of Sim Race Sweden Esports, who ran out your victor here today. Sam, would you like to have a chat to our next interviewee?
I think I will do, and it's another one of our Sim Race Sweden drivers. It is Mattis Martinsson, who joins us in the commentary box now. Mattis, what's a exciting round for you tonight? Let's take it all the way to the start. Qualifying. What's it like in qualifying in this series? Because it's so different to the official series. In the officials, you just get 2 solo laps, that's it. What's it like having unlimited laps in a 10-minute session when everyone's else is out on circuit? What's that like out on track?
It definitely. Oh shit! Sorry, my voice. It definitely adds another aspect to the whole qualifying. Like you could do like a normal short stint, like you usually do in open qualifying. Really depends on the track, because some tracks it favors doing like one long stint, and some other tracks it favors doing like 1 out lap, 2 laps. And in the team today, we definitely went for a different strategy. I knew that lap 3 on full fuel was the fastest. So my aim for the thing was to do 1 out lap, then 3 fast laps. But the others in my team wanted to do, I think, 2 more laps after that. But I felt like it was, for me, more worth it to go for the other strategy.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear about those different ideas put forward by the team. And then when it came to the racing, race 1, if I recall correctly, just following behind your teammate Tobias Olsen, and then that A final, it really all kicked off. It seemed very intense right from the get-go.
In the heat, I made I was quite equal to Tobias on pace, but I made some mistakes. Like the turn before the chicane, the first 1 lap I forgot to shift down, so I got understeer. And then the next lap I did the opposite, so I shifted down too much and I almost spun. So we got a bit nervous there and lost some time after that as well. But it felt quite good considering the lack of practice I've had this week because of the Swedish nationals and 3 tests in school and being sick and everything.
Yes, that's very good effort considering all of that stuff. I mean, what was it like with the overtaking? I mean, you talk about battling with Tobias. When you're in a situation like that, did you feel like you could overtake Tobias if you just put together 2 perfect laps, or to make a move would it had to be a mistake from Tobias, you think?
If it was the beginning of the race, I think I could have been able to overtake him if I just did 2 perfect laps. But then I dropped just a bit too much to be able to gain enough in the toe, because on this track it's not that long of a straight, so you have a lot of high-speed corners, so you lose quite a lot in the corners being behind someone. So I think if he made a mistake, I could have been able to overtake him. Unless he made a mistake, then no, not today.
Well, still a fantastic effort. I'm sure that, I believe, first win of the season is just a matter of time away. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
My team, Tobias, Isaac, everyone else, my parents, and you guys for setting this thing up and doing great commentary as always.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Mattis, and we'll see you back next week.
Yep, see you.
That was Mattis Martinsson, another driver of SimRace Sweden. I think we're going to have a chat with one of our Alcantech drivers now, Tim.
We are indeed, and I believe we're going to be joined by Rasmussen, who picks up third place here today. Can you hear us?
I'm not Rasmussen.
It's Palikui, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is a very different voice. Definitely not a Danish voice whatsoever. That's Palikui Gra, I do believe.
Yes.
There we go. Hello. Well, I mean, myself and Sam was saying just before we started the interviews that Zandvoort's meant to be a quiet track. It's meant to be, hard to overtake. It's meant to be a relatively mundane, boring race. But you were just yet another one of the drivers out there. It seems to be for so many of you that it was the polar opposite of that today.
Yes, just getting my way through the track. It was great to go through the turns here, and there's really just so little opportunity to pass. But when you have good runs coming into especially that last corner coming into the straight, you really have a chance to get into T1, and that's really all you get. The only other one is after turn 4, going into that up-down hill into the sweeping right-hander. But that, as I think, I'm not sure if you saw at the very last lap, it's very, very difficult to overtake. And you really have to hope that your competitors are going to make a mistake.
Yes, we did see the final lap, and Rowlinson unfortunately just ending up running wide and putting it straight into the wall. But on the flip side, we did see a couple of spectacular overtakes right around the outside there. As you say, it's very much, it requires a lot of compliance from both overtaker and overtakee. But I mean, even so, there was so much going on up and down sort of that midfield order where you seem to be running a fair bit of the race. I mean, just especially the starts, just take us through it, because it just seemed like it was no room to move, hardly at all, from pretty much all the starts actually.
Yes, and especially when you're coming into turn 1, looking at coming in the back and then trying to work your way up. Basically, in the start, I'm just looking ahead, seeing where everyone's positioned, and just trying to get my car in a spot where I feel that the car ahead of me and the car ahead of that car would have a decent run to get back into line. It's really difficult to judge and manage that, but what you're just trying to do, and especially in my mindset, was just stay aligned, hold that line, and then try and maneuver your way to get into that single file line coming out of turn 4 and then getting started on the race. I'm just happy that the consolidation race was something else, and then the feature race, I just managed to keep it. The heat, not so much.
I mean, talk us through that consolation race. I mean, it was so many twists and turns to the tail in that one. You could write War and Peace on it.
Yes, no, it's on the start. I just got a good jump, and of course, I have a lot of AMs in front of me coming into the line, as the heat race just didn't work out well. But I just noticed that it seemed like either Glamsetter or whoever was behind just got a really poor start. And so I just decided to take it on the inside, taking a calculated risk, taking it 3 wide into turn 1. And then I think I saw, James in front of me that was just super slow off of P4. And it was a matter of trying not to hit the AM to my left and trying not to slam into the rear of the AM to my right. And it just worked out.
Yes, James Cochran had he jumped the start, and that's what sort of started to cause part of the issues, and then there's someone slow on the left, way on the left as well, just to add more excitement and spice to the dish. But before I let you go, Palaku, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, sure. I want to give out a shout out for my friend Taff and also Wes, who is also watching again today. Thank you. And also, I want to give a big shout out to you, Jamie and Sam, and the broadcaster here. Really appreciate what you guys do. I've taken a look at the broadcast. It looks absolutely beautiful. Love it. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much for that kind compliments. Let's play a grant there for pro rank category. Right, we're on to next driver to have a bit of a chat to. I believe we're just waiting to be queued up. Now we're going to sort them out, Sam. Oh, here we go. Nicholas Rasmussen's up for you, Sam.
Yes, Nicholas Rasmussen is in the box with us now. Nicholas, congratulations. I think, and this is just my opinion, but I'm interested to get your opinion. Best round of the season for you?
Yeah, I think obviously it's the best result from what I can remember. So yeah, pretty solid day today, honestly. Been feeling under the weather, so actually kind of surprised to even be able to perform like decently. But yeah, it was pretty good. Too bad I didn't have too much for Top and Mattes. They were quicker, but did everything I could, and yeah, happy with the result.
Absolutely, you really should be. I think in your heat, and this feels like a while ago, am I right in saying that you're starting on pole, but you lost the lead of the race at the start to Arvidsson, I believe?
Yeah, A-Firm. He got a slightly better start, had the inside, and I tried to hold it around the outside. Couldn't really do it, and the way we had everything set up, I kind of knew that I had to try and attack early on to get the car to work well. And unfortunately for me, he was able to keep me behind, and that just didn't have nothing for him at the end. So yeah, P2 in that race.
Yeah, still a solid result for yourself. And yeah, I mean, how do you think you guys at Alcantech have done for this round and will do for the future rounds? Because it seemed like tonight you were the fastest guy of the Alcantech team, which, you know, it seems like Lennart has usually had the pace, I think, on you guys, but tonight it seemed to be yourself. I mean, do you think that will continue for the next round?
Difficult to say. I think we are very close within the team. I've been struggling a lot recently, so I'm trying to rebuild my own personal pace and the consistency during races. I think honestly I gotta give big shout out to Jesper for the setup work he's done. Obviously he had to start from the pit, but I think he would have been probably the fastest between all of us anyway. So it's difficult to say. I'll do everything I can. We push each other very well within the team and are working very well together. So I think we're going to continue to improve.
Best of luck for the next round of the championship. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Again, Alcantech, team manager Alex as well. Everybody who's run the leagues, my teammates, and you guys for doing the broadcast.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck next week, Nicholas.
Thank you very much.
A couple more drivers to get through. We've got Grassetto joining us now. Winner in Pro-Am. Wow.
Hello.
Hello. Well, congratulations. What a drive. I mean, Pro-Am definitely seems to be really, really wide open right now.
Yeah, it's very open. We are very close. Even in every qualifying, every session, we are very, very close. So even a small mistake can be really, really bad for the championship.
Definitely. And obviously, looking a bit forward into the season, I mean, do you think you can take it to the pro drivers in the way in which you did today at Zandvoort?
Yeah, I hope. I hope so. I mean, my pace here and also at Okayama was very good. But yeah, I'm going. Every race is different. Every track is different, so you never know.
Any rounds that you're particularly looking forward to coming up?
I don't know. I mean, I looked up for Monza and Okayama because there was the two main tracks that I liked. I also liked I like really high downforce tracks. And next week we are going to Kota, which is going to be low downforce. So we'll see.
So being Italian, you have to like Monza. I think it's pretty much the law over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Monza and Imola, my favorite tracks.
Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, to my team, because they are being very, very supportive, and also to you, because this is a great championship. I'm having a lot of fun to take part in this championship. It's really fun.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
That is great to hear. Fabio Grosseto, who won it in Pro-Am here today, run for the championship. And let's see who we've... And Charlie, for you.
I think we have, Cambrali Charlie coming to join us in the interviews. And Cambrali, I mean, what could have been? That B final is the moment, possibly the most dramatic moment of the entire day. I mean, take us through that final lap from the moment that you got into the top 4 to, unfortunately, the collision.
Yeah, it was overall very unfortunate. And actually, at that point that we were starting the lap, I had absolutely no idea that what we were fighting for was actually a spot in the feature, because I looked at the sessions before we got in, and I believe it said that only one person from the Constellation was going to the feature race. So as far as I was concerned, we were completely out of it. And my only motivation to carry on was just to kind of secure that AM class win. And by the time we got to the second section of the lap, I saw that Sebastian, I think his name is, was behind me, and I wasn't sure what approach to take, whether to let him go or to just continue with the lap, because not long before in the same race, he had actually tried to...
I think we've just lost connection.
I was concerned that was on my end. Tim, I was about to give you the signal. We might be able to have a chat with Cambrali. Are you back, Cambrali?
Hello?
You are back. Sorry, but I think we lost you for a brief second. But yeah, you were taking us through that final lap, and it was a disappointing one in the end. But I mean, I think like the positive side, it seemed like your pace was very strong tonight. I think you're probably the fastest amateur driver. So does that give you confidence for next week at least?
Yeah, it's nice to see that the work is coming good. Hopefully we can have a bit more luck and we can have a real shot at the championship. But with every improvement I make, the rest of the drivers improve as well. So we just take it weekend by weekend and hope for the best. Hopefully at the end of the season we're in a really good place and we have something to be very happy about.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming in, having a chat with us, Cambrali. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
A huge thank you to all of my sponsors, the team at Spen, Fine Zambia, Sasha Maglov, everyone that supports me, and everyone at Apex Racing for hosting these amazing streams, and all of you that work tirelessly to do these beautiful shows week in and week out. To you, Sam, and everyone on the Apex team, thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Cambrali, and see you at Kota next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Cambrali Charlie there. Just missed out on the A final, Tim. Was so close. But,
agonisingly close, wasn't he? And, well, if he'd realised it was the top 4, maybe it might have been a different result for him. You never quite know. Now joined by Aaron Smith. Aaron. Well, yet again, it's been from an evening of rags to riches, back down to rags again. Sam, I'm going to blame it completely on him. He put the curse of the commentator on you. He said, if you have a half-decent round this week, you would have been leading the championship.
You might still be leading the championship. Well, I will just say that.
Yes.
It'll be him or Grosseto, I think.
Yes.
But, yeah, sorry, Aaron, I'll take the blame for that one.
Yes, and so we're going to blame Sam for putting the curse of the commentator onto you for that one.
Well, yeah, you're annoying, Sam. No, but I did the calculations. I am just leading the championship. It could have been so much more, though.
There we go. It could have been. I mean, it was a story. This must be the frustrating part for yourself, because you seem to have so much raw pace that, even when we saw you start from the pit lane at Fuji, for example, you were able to come through the field, and you quite often been able to take it to the fight to quite a few of the pro drivers. I mean, if you had a bit more luck, I do have to wonder where you'd quite be in the championship right now. I guess probably leading it by quite a handsome margin.
Well, that's the story of my life. I've lost 2 other F3 championships due to just being so unlucky. But yeah, today was the unluckiest of unlucky. During qualifying and Heat 1, I had braking issues in which I'd have to apply about 50% of the brake to get about 20%. So completely had no brakes all of qualifying and Heat 1, which put me about half a second off every lap. And then, in the feature race, I put the wrong setup on. I used the qualifying setup with extra fuel, which would have gotten me to the end anyway. But yeah, Jesper decided to stick a nose in where he shouldn't have and took me out of the race. So yeah, not been the best of days, but still leading the championship. So yeah, it's a story of 2 halves, isn't it?
Definitely. If you're struggling with your brake pedals, maybe you should have some of these lovely, like we have in front of us, VRS Direct Force Pro load cell brake pedals. I can thoroughly recommend those. Aaron, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
The team at Delta, as usual, providing great support, great setups. They're an amazing team. My friend Jack, who couldn't be here today to race, but is on doing karting somewhere. I think I've completely forgotten what track he's at. And to everyone at Apex, these studio broadcasts are really cool, and I love watching them back. So thank you, guys.
It's an absolute pleasure. And well, good luck for yourself next week, Aaron, and hopefully it goes a bit better for you.
Cheers.
Well, Sam, I think that's probably time for us to round things out here. Final thoughts from you. Give me 3 words to describe what you've witnessed here today.
Not commentator curse. No, commentator curse definitely. I think actually is those.
Commentator curse. Yeah, that is 3. I will give you that one.
No, it wasn't the worst one we've ever had. But so, yeah, Aaron was quite unlucky with those incidents, wasn't he? But yeah, I'm sure he'll be back next week. But yeah, that Pro-Am Championship. Eventually, it's going to get to the point now where we get like consecutive good rounds for one of the Pro-Am drivers.
Surely,
but
someone's got to.
No one can have any consistency. Every time we have the championship standings, the top 3 just had a rubbish round, but because they did better in the previous few rounds, they're at the top. Craziness in that one. And Simrace Sweden, what can you say? I mean, Olsen, he just is relentless. He doesn't have weaknesses. Tobias Olsen, he's got the pace. Sure, he got that slow down at Monza, but that's his only mistake this season. I mean, the guy has been so consistent, and he extends his championship. Well, he gets the championship lead, and he's got a decent margin.
Well, I bet he's incredibly good looking as well, just to rub extra salt in the wound, probably, most likely. Coming up on the channel, we have got this evening Formula Renault 3.5. That'll always bring lots of drama and excitement for your viewing pleasure. And then get into the small hours for us in the British time zone, but not for those in the Americas, because it is GT Americas, the Apex Racing League Championships. We've got obviously a raft of motorsport for you tomorrow night, SRF Weekend Warriors and IGP Fun, more F3 action for you. Well, I don't think you missed those. Big grid, big action. Of course, every Monday evening, the late Apex, myself and Sam on these very sofas discussing the latest news and opinions, debates, and even maybe a bit of bickering for good measure.
And some reverse driving as well.
Yes, reverse driving. Tune in for that one on Monday. Yeah, one not to miss out. But wow, what a crazy race here from Zandvoort. You're not meant to be able to take. It's meant to be a boring race. Nothing much happens here, but wow. It's been the circuit of dreams for some drivers, the circuit of commiserations for others, but we'll see you in a week's time from the circuit of the Americas.